Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Adriano Moro, researcher at Carlos Chagas Foundation and co-president of International Observatory for School Climate Violence Prevention. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this new webinar in our 2026 series. And we are very pleased to have participants join us from different countries, which continues to strengthen our international dialogue in school climate and educational transformation. At the beginning of this section, I'd like to acknowledge my colleague and co-president of International Observatory, Dr. Veronica Lopes, who is with us today. Thank you so much, Veronica. Sí, gracias. It's an honor to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Jonathan Cohen, who will present school climate and K-12 prosocial research, policy, and practice trends in low, middle, and high income countries. So welcome, Jonathan. It's a true privilege and pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Jonathan Cohen is a clinical psychologist, internationally recognized scholar in the field of school climate, social and emotional learning, and violence prevention. He is currently a distinguished scholar at the Center for Character and Citizenship at the University of Missouri, St. Louis, USA, and has worked for over 4 decades in K-12 schools as a teacher, research consultant, and mental health professor. He was co-founder and president of National School Climate Center and has also served as co-president of International Observatory. His work has significantly influenced research, policy, and practice worldwide, particularly in promote safe, inclusive, and support school environment. He's the author of a number of publications, including key books on social and emotional learning and safe school. Jonathan, thank you so much to stay with us today. It's a pleasure to listen to you and learn from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Veronica and Adriano are two of about 20 scholars, research leaders, and/or practice leaders from around the world who have come together over the last year to learn about what are school climate and pro-social trends, research, policy, and practice in low, medium, and high-income countries. This project has had 3 goals. First is just to begin to learn about what are these research, policy, and practice trends in low, high, and medium income countries. Secondly, this project is designed to support meaningful conversations between K through 12 pro-social leaders. And this conversation, this webinar, is actually the first of what we hope will be a series of conversations with leaders around the world. And in an overlapping way, our final goal in this first phase of study is to learn about gaps between research-based pro-social measurement and school improvement guidelines and current practice. This has been and continues to be an extraordinarily collaborative effort that is still very much beginning to unfold. These are the 20 members of the International Steering Committee who have all collaboratively contributed to creating a survey, and now we're, as a team, in the process of beginning to understand what these survey findings are suggesting. All of this work has been supported, as Adriano said, by the Center for Character and Citizenship, and we're grateful to that center for the essential support they've provided. Satabdi is a statistical consultant who's been a key co-author in this process. And you can see other people and other organizations that have helped to make this survey process as interesting as I'll shortly summarize. Over the last 15 years, there has been a very exciting international empirical body of research about what is increasingly called the science of learning. Some in different parts of the world refer to this as the science of learning and healthy development. And this work, which comes from different leading researchers in a variety of different countries internationally, really underscore something many of us have known for a long time. And in fact, all mothers and fathers have known for centuries, that learning is always social and emotional and moral and civic, as well as intellectual or cognitive. We know that historically, in public education, and even to a great extent in parochial schools and independent schools, what has been measured and honored and focused on is language learning and mathematical logical thinking learnings. We now have a growing, important body of research saying that's true, but social and emotional, moral, and civic learning are always happening in parallel. Two, this new science of learning is underscoring that children and the adults who are working with children need to feel safe, connected to others in healthy, caring ways, and engaged. That the systems, the social norms, the expectations that color and shape every organization are powerful forces supporting kids being able to learn and teachers being able to teach, or those school-wide factors can undermine learning and teaching. And finally, in an overlapping way, the science of learning is underscoring the profound foundational importance of relationships, and healthy relationships, what I often refer to as the first of the three R's. There are many different educational traditions that have supported these three overlapping ideas: character education, social and emotional learning, or what's often referred to as SEL, whole school, whole child, mental health promotion efforts, and a variety of pedagogic strategies. More and more over the last dozen years, all of these traditions, which have historically been somewhat different camps, that at times have been competitive with one another, are coming to appreciate the centrality of the teaching and learning, of the school-wide efforts and relationships that I've just summarized. We created a survey that had many different kind of questions. I'm not going to go into the details about all of our methods and all of the findings, mostly because of limited time and my wanting to make sure that we have more rather than less time to talk together as a group, but also because we're literally still in the process of understanding and analyzing the data. Any of you who would like to see a copy of this PowerPoint that has all the details about our methods and the findings, please write to me and/or write to the observatory and we'll send you a copy. This instrument, this survey that we created, was created by experts, and it does evidence what many people would call expert validity. But we did not go through the important series of additional validity and reliability testing. So what I'm reporting here is preliminary and only suggestive. I'm going to just show you these slides very, very quickly and then summarize what we learned. There were three major findings that emerged from this survey of almost 400 self-identified research and/or policy and/or practice leaders from around the world. The first is the centrality of relational life in understanding the idea of school climate. Second was implementation challenges. And thirdly, an interesting series of themes that I'll summarize now. There is not one definition of school climate. Almost everybody around the world thinks of school climate as an ecologically informed idea that includes a series of different levels, from individual experience to relationships to small group life, like in classrooms and orchestras and athletic teams, and larger group systems. What people around the world said, which is very interesting, is that their understanding is school climate is really closest to the current Latin American understanding of school climate. As many people on this call know, in Latin American countries, there's an explicit idea that school climate is about how we're living together in peace. That's a relational idea that's very close to what people from around the world said is their understanding of school climate. To me, understandings and misunderstandings are always centrally important because our understandings shape our goals. The goals that we have are conscious goals, and we also all have goals that we don't even fully recognize. Goals drive our behavior. And if we're thoughtful and we have a given goal, we intentionally select certain interventions, pedagogies, methods, strategies that we use to actualize our goal. And then hopefully we evaluate to what extent have these strategies succeeded in helping us to actualize our goals, and also what are our challenges? The problem-solving cycle. So the understanding that school climate is an idea that's fundamentally relational, which again, Latin American school climate violence prevention researchers have been talking about for longer, really, than anyone else that I'm aware of in the world. That's interesting and important. The second interesting finding, not entirely surprising, but potentially exciting and very important, is that there is, on the one hand, a very significant growing appreciation from research leaders, policy leaders, and practice leaders in high, medium, and low-income countries around the world who are saying, we can and want to use school climate and or other kinds of prosocial measurement tools to understand how are kids and teachers feeling in school, as well as how the kids are learning academically, in addition to how people are doing behaviorally. Historically, many of us know the two most common measurement systems in K through 12 schools are academic grades, which are tracked over time, and what are often called behavioral reports, or how many kids are being suspended and or expelled. Those are meaningful metrics, but school climate is something that is interesting people because we can, in a reliable and valid manner, get a snapshot of how do not just students, but different subgroups of students, How do educators and other members of the school personnel staff, how do parents and guardians all think kids are doing around a range of safety, teaching and learning, relationship, and environmental issues? But very, very importantly, people from around the world said they need help implementing research-based school climate measurement and school improvement guidelines. That people need greater understanding about what is the research and what are the strengths and limitations of the research. How does this fit with our other national priorities? What is effective professional and leadership development? And a variety of additional needs. In addition to a number of questions on this short survey that were either yes, no answers and or responding on a 4-point scale, we had many open-ended questions. And these are the findings that we're literally still in the middle of analyzing. So what I'm reporting now is in process. You can see that the most important challenge that was reported around the world was school safety related concerns. I am very interested in understanding, is this equally true in medium income countries and high income countries and low income countries? We don't know yet. Interestingly, teacher quality and professional development was framed as an urgent deficit. This is something which we've learned over the last dozen years from research that is naturally important as it is to focus on the child, that we also need to focus on classroom leaders, teachers, building leaders, principals, and superintendents, that we need to support them as well. So I was very interested to see this second finding because it's important. Because of time, I'm not going to go into these other challenges. People talked about how there's a sense of a greater and very important increased focus on intentional social and emotional learning and student well-being. Many of us have known for a long time that schools historically have paid less rather than more attention to kids' mental health and the struggles they're having. In fact, between 10 and 20% of all adolescents struggles with a major psychiatric problem. By a major psychiatric problem, I don't mean anxious. I don't mean a little bit depressed. I mean struggling in a major way. And historically, we're just beginning to pay attention to that in schools around the country. Oh, excuse me, around the world. This is also, I think, very interesting that people around the world, and we don't yet know what's similar and different in low, medium, and high income countries. People around the world are saying we need and want scientifically sound assessment and school improvement guidelines, frameworks. We need policy frameworks to support policymakers and shapers, and we need concrete tools. My hunch is in different countries, in different parts of the world, what this is going to mean is going to vary tremendously. And I'm excited to learn about what are these different needs. Not surprisingly, there were a number of questions that people reported not being addressed in this survey. And the first one, which is a critical one, is how do we support sustainability? Understandings shape our goals, which suggests methods and interventions, which we then evaluate and begin the cycle anew. A major understanding, preliminary understanding emerging from this survey is that school climate, measurement and improvement, and in an overlapping way, other efforts that may not include the term school climate, but it's the same basic idea where people, researchers and or practice leaders are thinking about the school community as a system. And how do we support the school community? From my point of view, thinking together about what kind of school do we want our school to be, and then using reliable and valid measurement systems to understand what are our current strengths and challenges today, and then given the inevitable gap between our vision, our ideal on the one hand, and what are our current strengths and challenges, what are the one or two or three improvement goals, whether they're instructional goals, whether they're school-wide goals, and or whether they are relational goals that we as a community want to focus on together. We know from research and experience that mobilizing as many students and their parents and colleagues as possible, that doing everything we can to ignite the intrinsic motivation of students, parents, and our colleagues to learn and work together, that's what potentially creates a sustainable improvement process. Thank you very much. This really is a project which is in process. And I think I know, knowing Veronica and knowing Adriano very well, that all three of us are really interested in any and all of you who would like to become part of this process of learning about the school climate and pro-social measurement improvement trends around the world. I don't quite know how this is going to unfold, which I find very exciting. I like that a lot. So let me stop now and with Adriano's help, kind of open this up to the group. And I'm curious how these very preliminary findings have landed on you.
Very, very good, Jonathan. It was truly excellent to hear you and learn a bit more from your work, your experience, and your research. Provide us with many valuable insights to continue advance in improving of our school. So thank you again,
My
and
pleasure and honor. Thank you.
thank you so much. And also, I'd like to thank each of you, everybody here, who joined with us this moment, this important moment to reflect and dialogue about school climate and to improve our school. And thank you so much for everybody.
Bye bye.